Ryan Spilborgs, I'm Drew Goodman. It's a rematch of a ball game we saw a little less than a week ago. John Gray pitched beautifully, and Clayton Richard was on the wrong end of things. Clayton Richard from Quebec, Canada, right?
Yes, man. It was a very fine note. He was unable to get through the first 2 innings without giving up 5 runs. Then he settled down. Clayton Richard is one of the better ground ball pitchers in baseball, but unfortunately for him in San Diego, he could not locate fastballs. So the Rockies got to him early, and they got to him often. 5 innings, 8 hits. We know what John Gray can do to the San Diego Padres. Nearly 12 strikeouts per 9 in his career against him. 7 innings pitched, the 7 strikeouts he made up for his first start of the season. He said after the game he was pitching far more aggressive with his fastball, and he loved his location with his slider. So it'd be good to see him do the same thing with the same group of guys a week later.
Padres do not like to see him historically.
No, they do not.
John has beautiful numbers against the Padres. So we are set for baseball. The Rockies and the San Diego Padres. Come on back to 20th and Blake with us. Welcome inside Coors Field, the Rockies' beautiful home, and it's the 25th anniversary of Colorado Rockies baseball. Tonight they open up a 3-game set against the San Diego Padres. They took 3 of 4 against the Padres last week at Petco. 3 games here, and then it's off to our nation's capital, where the Rockies will play 4 against the Nats. Since the Rockies played San Diego and John Gray dominated the Padres, San Diego went down to Houston to play the world champs. They pitched very well, didn't swing it much, and ended up losing 2 out of 3. So John Gray making his way to the Coors Field mound, and let's take a look at the Padres offense tonight, as written out by Andy Green and presented by Southwest Airlines. Carlos Asuaje will lead things off. Chase Headley's getting a start at third base. They have the switch hitter in there against Gray. Then Eric Hosmer, Jose Perella, Corey Spangenberg in there against the righty. Freddie Galvis has been really steady. Austin Hedges. Manuel Margot had a good start to the season, but he's been in a horrific slump, so he's been dropped from the top spot in the lineup to the 8 hole. And then Clayton Richard naturally will bat 9th. John Gray, in his career, 11 starts against the Padres. He started Spilly more against San Diego than any other club in his young career. He's 5-2, but a 2.15 ERA.
He's always had his way. It's almost like John Gray feels confident against his group because he can overpower him with his fastball. Pay attention to the pitch usage. 57% fastball, 28% slider. And he's still mixing in the changeup occasionally, 1%. I'd like to see it more, but the curveball has become a weapon for John Gray. What's interesting, this season, he has not been very aggressive with the fastball in the strike zone, but to his credit, hitters are hitting it worse than they've ever hit before. So just enough strikes to mix in and keeping the hitters off of the fastball.
And you want to see him back up what he did the other day. As we take a look at the John Deere defensive alignment for the Rockies tonight, great to see 19. Chuck Blackman back in center field wearing your old number. He is flanked tonight by Ian Desmond and Cargo, which means Pat Valleca is in there against the lefty. Pato naturally will be at first base. The airtight infield of Arenado, Story, and LeMahieu. And Chris Iannetta has the gear on once again. Man, I'm in a good mood. A little hardball Monday night.
I love it. It's beautiful outside tonight.
You know, it's funny. I had to do something down at the ballpark early this morning, and by the time I ran from the car inside, I was drenched, half snow, half rain.
Isn't that crazy?
And then when I was done doing what I had to do here, it was sunny out. It is a beautiful night. It's supposed to be gorgeous tomorrow also. So here's Carlos Asuaje, the second baseman. And the first pitch of the night from John Gray. Fastball right at the knees. You live there, you're not going to get hurt much.
I have a feeling the Padres are going to be very aggressive tonight against John Gray. The Padres as a team have scored 3 runs per game.
And just 8 runs their last 5 games. That fastball's outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Suaje's hitting a number of spots in Andy Green's lineup. No set lineup for the Padres. Unlike the Rockies, this is slicing away from Desmond. And well, that's a good effort by Ian. Glad he slid. That wall comes up quickly. 1-2. But unlike the Rockies, the Padres don't really have a set group of guys, and it's kind of a day-to-day proposition for Andy Green.
Yeah, but I've heard Andy Green talk about this. He says he doesn't want anybody to be handed a job. He was talking about Carlos Villanueva last week, and he wants his guys to earn it. And he feels like there's enough players in that Padres bench that just haven't proven themselves at the big leagues that it's wide open.
And a strikeout on a fastball, foul tip. And a very nice start for John Gray. And Villanueva, we just showed you the lineup, not in there tonight, right on right with Gray. He, of course, of the 3 home run game at Petco last week against Colorado.
You see on the Subaru Supermo a 4-seam fastball above the belt. Such a great pitch when you have high velocity like John Gray to throw it above the belt. Very difficult for a hitter to get on top of it.
Well, 2 hitters, 2 first pitch strikes as Chase Headley is behind 0-1. And the Colorado native fouls off another fastball. You know, when you get a little later on in your career, sometimes you have to cheat a little bit to catch up with the big time heat, don't you?
You really do, and you'll see hitters either choke up or change bat models, try to get as far back in the box as possible.
And that is right there. He didn't slow it down. He came right after him and strikes him out at 96. 3 pitches. Headley gone. 2 strikeouts for John Gray. And that'll bring up Eric Hosmer.
2 straight batters where John Gray overpowers with the fastball. Again, another fastball up in the zone. This time Chase Headley just watches it.
Here's Hosmer. 282 in the early going for the former Royal All-Star. And that had a little bit of cut on it. Was that his slider? That had to be his slider. I'm looking at the mile per hour 91.
It must have been. He's feeling it.
Come in with the heater. That's a good pitch. It's not a strike, but it's a good pitch, isn't it, Spilly?
Well, you just threw a slider down and away to a fastball up and in.
You're going to go in there again with a slider. 2-1. You saw the Rockies shift with Hosmer. That's on the outside corner. Adrian Johnson's calling balls and strikes. 2-2. Trip Gibson's at first. Brian Gorman's the crew chief. Brian Gorman's at second base, and Dan Iasanya is at third base. 2-2, 2 outs. Buried that slider. 3-2.
First start for John Gray at home, and he's always said he loves pitching here at Coors Field because he feels his fastball goes exactly where he wants it to go. How about that for a pitcher at Coors Field?
And strikeout of Hosmer. What a start. 3 up, 3 down, all punch outs for John Gray, the big Okie. After missing yesterday's ball game. Last year he played in 159 contests. Here's the Southwest batting order tonight, as written out earlier today by one Buddy Black. DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado. Trevor's going to bat cleanup against the lefty Richard. Then Ian Desmond, Chris Iannetta. Cargo will bat in the 7th spot against the southpaw Pat Paleka and John Gray. Clayton Richard, we were telling you when he faced the Rockies at Petco, really good numbers. At Coors Field, really bad numbers. 9 games at Coors Field, Spilly. In Richard's career, he has an ERA of 8.82. Ouch. That's in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rockies got 5 runs in the first 2 innings at Petco against Richard. Good eye. 2-1. Blackman 6 for 16 lifetime against the former University of Michigan star.
Well, Clayton Richard last year had nearly a 60% ground ball rate. He'll just pitch primarily fastball slider. Excellent sinker ball pitcher from the left side. He's changed his arm angle because of thoracic outlet syndrome. He's a little funky. He throws from a different arm angle. You know, for a hitter from the left side, watching him, and even right-handers, there's a lot of deception to Clayton Richard.
Held up. 3-2. Well, he's one of Buddy Black's favorites. Buddy managed him. 2 of his favorite guys are in the rotation for the Padres. Clayton Richard and Tyson Ross. Very competitive guys, very bright guys. This is in the air to left field, and out there is Corey Spangenberg. 1 out. Here's the John Deere defense for the Padres tonight. We're going to focus in on that outfield a little bit. Spangenberg's an infielder having to play cavernous left field. Margot's a great center fielder. Perella is a former infielder, second baseman, third baseman. So you're out there in Coors Field with 2 guys that are used to playing on the dirt.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Skip Schumacher, who's the Padres' first base coach, has been working with the outfielders The outfield's giving the old DJ shift. We'd love to see a ball hit to left field right now.
You know what's interesting, Spilly, is Margot is swung over more dramatically here at Coors Field than he was at Petco. They put a shift on in the outfield, but not nearly this dramatic. This reminds me of last year.
Spangenberg's an athlete.
He can really run. He's just not comfortable yet.
Yeah,
tracking down
here,
fly
DJ.
balls.
Right over there.
This is going to be a tough play at third. Safe. Good effort by Headley, and DJ beat it. DJ had one of those yesterday.
See DJ with the signature smirk, looking at Tony Diaz, knowing he just had a nice swinging bunt. Good effort by Chase Headley. That's a tough play, throwing across your body. Sometimes the ball will have quite a bit of top spin. You see on the Subaru Supermo how he has to catch it with his whole hand.
It was really close. In fact, the reason we've had a little bit of a delay is San Diego was taking a look at it, and Andy Green and Mark McGuire just signaled to Adrian that they're going to play on. They're not going to challenge it. Nolan threw out 2 hits last night, 2 of the Rockies' 6 hits in that loss to Atlanta. And this is sharply hit, but it's right at Headley. It's going to turn into a double play. 1 inning completed Coors Field. No score between the Rockies and the San Diego Padres. Back in a moment. Brought to you by the 2018 Toyota Tundra and your hometown Toyota stores, by the Colorado Lottery. More ways to play, more ways to win with the new multiplier scratch, and by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. John Gray ready to go, top of the second, and the first pitch in there, strike 1 on Jose Perella. So 4 batters, 4 first pitch strikes now for John Gray, which is always a focus of a starting pitcher. It's preached by Buddy Black and Steve Foster. This is down the right field line, and it is going to bounce to Cargo. So a leadoff single for Perella. And that'll bring up a guy that's always swung the bat well at Coors Field, Corey Spangenberg. Brings speed and a little bit of pop to the yard.
I like his swing from the left side. It reminds me so much of Chris Coughlin. Left-handed bat, some pop. Coughlin was a Rookie of the Year with the Florida Marlins. Very similar infielder that could play some outfield.
Spangenberg in that first series between these two clubs was 3 for 8. staring down Glenn Hoffman at third base. And that misses. 2-0.
So with John Gray, he's actually been throwing a lot better out of the stretch this season. 235 batting average against him with runners on, 286 when he's pitching out of the windup. This is why we've seen John go to a adjusted windup.
Was it against San Diego, or am I thinking back to Arizona?
Arizona, third inning, he went to the stretch. And for John, it just helps him simplify mechanics. Sometimes you see hitters do it. They'll remove a leg kick. For a pitcher, it's that extra movement. Just get on your backside and throw.
Rockies have won 12 of their last 16 here at home against San Diego. Won the season series last year 12 games to 7. That's a strike. 2-2.
How about those
see
numbers?
Yeah, the reason the Rockies have dominated and hit a lot of home runs, but the ERAs, look at starter ERA almost 8 for San Diego and sub 3.6 for the Rockies. That is a base hit to center field. And now the Padres have 2 on and nobody out here in the second. Maybe their most consistent offensive player in the early going coming up in Freddie Galvis, the former Philly.
Freddie's been very impressive to a lot of people within the Padres organization. They love how he plays shortstop. They love how he's in on every single play.
He's a pro.
He's a pro. I know watching him last week, I really appreciated 3 days of paying attention to Freddie Galvis. If you pay attention to him throughout the course of the day, he'll do something.
You got overmatched there. You know, in the middle of the diamond, they're in transition. They went out and got a big piece, obviously, in Eric Hosmer, terrific player, great leader in the clubhouse. Will Myers is on the disabled list right now, but you have Freddie Galvis at short. You got a Suaje at second. Margot, a nice-looking young player in center field. Pulled to first. See if the Rockies can twist one. Gray gets over there. That's a double play. Toughest one to turn. 3-6-1. Started by Pat Vallejo, who's used to be on the left side of the diamond.
Pat's shown that he's a shortstop. We know Pat has won a minor league Gold Glove as a shortstop. You can see it with his hands, backhand to Vallejo's right, and then making a good throw to Trevor Story. Putting it on the outside part of the bag so he clears the base runner. It is a difficult play. There's so many different moving parts in that play, from the backhand to Trevor, the throw and the release from Trevor to John Gray, and then John paying attention to the ball traveling to him and making sure his foot's on the bag.
Good footwork around the second base bag by Story. Hedges fouls off the fastball. It's 1-1. Austin Hedges off to a slow start. 0.83 average. Swinging bunt. This is a tough play. Gray just ate the baseball because it was interesting. You rarely see that. 2 outs, the runner's going to go, right? Perella didn't want to run into an out, so just stayed put. Gray read it, didn't want to risk a throw.
So you see DJ LeMahieu with the swinging bunt already tonight. Inetta tells him to eat it. Not all you could do with that. This is going to be an interesting stat for you. The Padres were 0 for 15 with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Now they're 1 for 16, but they still haven't scored a run.
Well, hopefully John can extend that right here with Manuel Margot, who's been struggling at the plate. That's fouled off. He's just 3 for his last 28. And that's in there. 0-2. 97, reached back for a little extra and was all over the outside corner. Two-strike delivery.
Margot's a player the Padres very high on. He's an excellent young player, born in '94 from San Cristobal, Dominican. He'll be fine over the course of the season, but right now you can see timing's off, leg kicks off.
One-two, base hit, and the Padres take a 1-0 lead. Softly hit, but he found empty grass in right field.
Well, Margot made an adjustment, shorten up his leg kick, let the ball travel. It looks like a slider down and away.
It's not a bad pitch. Now the pitcher, Richard. First time he tried to drop a curveball in. Curveball, clearly the third pitch for John. He utilized a handful later on in the ball game against the Padres. You didn't see it much early in his last outing.
We saw him use the curveball more in Arizona.
I was just looking at the stance and the approach there, Richard. I think he was taking the whole two strikes. He wasn't going to swing. He threw that one down the middle. He's just going to walk away.
He's creeping out of the box.
Yeah, he's moving away from the plate.
Clayton's a great athlete. Former Mr. Football in Indiana.
Michigan quarterback for a bit.
Technically a backup, but
yeah. That's line toward left, and Desmond's there. Boy, off the bat, that was worrisome. In the inning, a 2-out single by Margot, and the Padres have a 1-0 lead, middle of 2. 6 in their lineup, down 1-0 to San Diego with Ryan Spilborghs. I'm Drew Goodman. We are so excited tonight because we're welcoming in the newest member of our broadcast crew. I know you're going to love her. Taylor McGregor's with us out of the University of Arkansas, and most recently Little Rock, where she's been working in television. Taylor, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good down here, Drew. I mean, what better place to be on a Monday night than right here at Coors Field? It's been so much fun getting to hang out with you and getting to know these players. In fact, the guy on the bump for the Padres has a really interesting story. You guys were talking about his past as a quarterback, and Spill, you mentioned his injury with the Padres back from 2009 to 2013. He was with the Padres, but then had that shoulder injury, got out of the game for a few years, kind of rehabbing it, reinvented himself as a reliever with a three-quarter arm slot that you see, was picked up by the Cubs in the relief position, but then in July of 2016, he was released. He knew he still wanted to stay in the game, though, and so he called one of his buddies who was a high school coach in Lafayette, Indiana, where he's from, and says, hey, can I see some guys? He said, sure, come on over. So he was facing 15 and 16-year-olds. This is lined out, and Story is out at first base. So he goes and faces some 15 and 16-year-old kids who were all-stars at the time. The first guy he faced got a grounder, first hit, or a single off of him, and then a few weeks later he's picked up by the Padres. So long story short, Bud Black said he couldn't be more proud of the way that this guy has fought through so much. I mean, a year and a half ago he was facing high schoolers to try to stay in the game of baseball, and he was the Padres opening day starter this year, Drew. Pretty good for him, right?
Yeah, it's a great, you know what?
Great.
It's a great story, Taylor, and it just shows you when you have baseball in your blood, even when you were gifted enough to play at the highest level, that you're willing to go out and you have enough humility, as Taylor described, to go and play against, not even varsity guys, probably 15 to 16-year-olds or JV level guys.
I just picture Clayton after first batter give up a base hit to a high schooler and go, why am I here right now?
Right.
I know, that's what I would be thinking too, and I'm sure that high schooler was pretty excited a few weeks later when he saw he was back with the Padres. And how about this one, Desmond?
Taylor, did he get it? He got it.
I'm going to take your line. You won't see that one for long.
Yeah, you could do that all night long.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Home run.
Hey, Taylor, how about this? Ian Desmond snaps an 0 for 16 slide that way.
He's feeling good about that. Did you see his dance moves at the plate there?
Those are moves that
celebrate that.
Yeah, I won't try to emulate that, but
yeah, he might. Spilly might though.
Yeah, Spilly can dance a little bit. That's awesome. We'll check back with you in a little bit, Taylor. Welcome aboard.
Wow, Ian Desmond going with the face protector now on his helmet too. Haven't seen him wear one of those.
Chris Iannetta always wears that because he was hit in the face a year ago, and Desi goes the other way.
Well, that has to feel so good for Ian Desmond. The last couple days, it's been a bit of a grind, to put it mildly. He's working on staying under, having his legs underneath him, and oftentimes for a big leaguer, you get to the yard, working on your swing, and you're not getting immediate results, and it can be frustrating.
I know what Desi's going to do. Anytime he gets in a funk, he's just going to call up the Padres and see if he can hit against them. He has 10 home runs in the Rockies uniform. 6 have come against the Friars. You know what? It's been a tough. Last year was a tough year for Desi. He wants to get off to a great start this year, and he did. First few days of the season, he was the hottest Rocky. And this is a guy that not only has immense pride, he has immense talent, and he has a baseball card. Look at the back of that card, folks. He's done it before for a number of years, so he's going to be that player. This ball's lined to deep right, and going back and making the catch is Perella. 2 outs.
Let's take a look at Ian Desmond's StatCast numbers. StatCast is brought to you by Subaru. 102 miles an hour off the bat. Good launch angle. You want it anywhere between 25 and 35 degrees. 32 is excellent. 384 feet, but it was loud off the bat. You can see the legs are underneath him. The backside gets through. The barrel comes through. Just like Taylor said, he did a little dance.
good to see. Here's Cargo, and he takes a strike. I talked to Desmond for a while in the clubhouse this afternoon, and he was really relaxed, and that comes with having, again, been there, done that, and understanding the ebb and flow of a season. There's not going to be a panic because you have 3 games where you don't get a knock.
But you feel it as a ball player where you're trying to help your team win. If you're striking out or you're grounding into double plays and you're coming up in key situations and you're just not right. And sure, every guy wants to go 4 for 4 every single night. It just doesn't work out that way.
Could you dismiss it when you went home and move on, or how long did it take you?
It still takes a while because you live day to day. You can't see the back of your baseball card.
Cargo swings and misses. In the inning, the Rockies tied up on that Desmond home run to right center field. 1-1 as we go to the 3rd.
Nice mustache. Keep it.
Of the night, go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote, and we'll show you the results during our post-game show. Which of the following feats is most impressive? 2 triples in the same inning, 3 home runs in the same game, 16 or more strikeouts for a pitcher in a game. We're hitting for the cycle. Suaje, the leadoff man, gets a breaking ball for a first pitch strike.
You refuse to say feats. I knew you wouldn't say feats. You said which feet?
Right, which feet? Was it you who used to say, you know, my 2 feet hurt? That's something you would say, right?
I mean, is it your greatest feat or feats?
Your greatest feat.
Semantics.
But those are all good choices. Corey had 2 triples in 1 inning.
Incredible.
So he had 2 triples in 1 inning. A lot of players, listen, unbelievable day. You know, Carlos Villanueva, Christian Villanueva had 3 home runs in a game. You know, Cargo's done it. Nolan's done it.
Cycles, yep.
They've both done cycles, and we know that it's almost even, Steven, over the years, cycles and no-hitters. It's been 318 cycles, 293 no-hitters.
John Gray's had 16 strikeouts.
This surprised me a little bit. That's another strikeout for Gray. That's his 4th. He struck out the side in the 1st. We're going to get to some of the data on those 4 exploits. But here's Sully back in the day. This is back in '06. And Sully, who ran well, ends up with a triple. There, this is at Petco. Now watch, he got a little help on this triple later in the inning.
Trammell sledge in left field. If this was me in left field, Corey has 1 hit in the inning.
Well, Trammell ran into some sludge out on the warning track.
No offense if you're listening to us. Excellent player from Long Beach State.
First pitch.
But he needed a roadmap to that fly ball in left field.
That misses. So it's 1 ball, 1 strike back live on Chase Hadley. But Sully with the 2 triples in an inning. This is at the shortstop Story. Trevor throws across the diamond. 2 gone. But check this out. Spilly, how many times do you think a guy has hit? There's been a guy hit 3 home runs in 1 game.
3 homers in a game?
Yeah.
I don't know, 40, 50 times in baseball?
In the history of the game, you think it's only happened 40 or 50 times?
Is that a lot? Or are you saying it's not a lot?
It's got to be a lot more than that. I mean, 20, what is it, about 24, 25 guys hit 4 in a game now after last year when...
well, I think it's only been 4 guys have ever hit 3 homers in an opening day. And it happened once this year with Matt Davidson of the Chicago White Sox. But how many times have a guy hit 3 homers in a game?
The instances, because there's several guys who've done it a couple times, but 571 times there's been a 3-homer game. Okay,
so I was way off.
2 triples. Dougie, I got to ask you, is this 2 triples in an inning or in a game? This is an inning. 2 triples in an inning has happened only 11 times in the history of the game. Sully has 1 of them. And you know what? Only 4 times since 1901. Doug's favorite era is covered in this, and it happened 7 times then. Who knows what they were doing back in 1884.
They did have the whiskey in baseball league. Was it American Association?
Yeah. 6. This is the one that got me as we go to break. Good inning for John Gray. 16 or more strikeouts in a game, only 121 times.
Tied up at 1 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch.
Pat Valleca is going to lead it off for the Rockies. Then John Gray at the top of the order. Patty got his first knock of the year yesterday, a double off the wall in right center field. Calling now, he's going yard.
He's going
right
yard.
here.
Well, the Rockies need it. Power up is what we're calling.
Next time up, he's going yard.
Yeah.
Headley will throw him out. Good pick up by Chase. 1 out, and that'll bring up John Gray. And Richard's first pitch to John is in there for a strike. His fastball at 87. His fastball this year averaging right under 90 miles an hour. He's going to turn it over and try to get ground balls. Last year he had the 2nd highest ground ball rate in baseball.
So I had a great stat for Clayton Richard. Last year the lowest amount of run support in Major League Baseball. In fact, he's beating the next best by 17 runs. Ground ball to Chase Headley. This year, the first run scored for Clayton Richard in a game happened in the second inning today. Stay hot if you're Clayton Richard.
Two gone. Charlie Blackmon will make his way to the plate. Charlie hit a high fly ball to left field, just missed it. Hit it pretty well. Back in the lineup tonight. And that touches the edge of the plate, so it's a strike on Chuck. Off the plate. We should mention the reason we compiled the list we did for our Century League poll question of the night is that all of those accomplishments were created, if you will, by somebody in the ballpark tonight. Cycle we talked about, 16+ strikeouts. John Gray a couple years ago against the Padres. Sully's 2 triples, 3 home runs. Several candidates, including Charlie Blackmon, and Charlie draws a 2-out walk. I think there's a bunch of guys who hit 3 home runs in a game in the ballpark tonight. Cargo's Chuck, Nolan, Villanueva.
Has Vinny Castilla ever hit 3?
Vinny, I would think, hit 3 in a game. I almost guarantee that. Vinny's here today. Did you ever hit 3 in like a Little League game, Pony League game?
Come on, man. I was a 4th outfielder. Inside out of the ball. Gap to gap.
Of course, my favorite Spilly story. Spilly was a great player, but he's very good at being self-deprecating. Was his freshman year at UCSB. If Spilly got a hit off pitcher in an inter squad,
that's right,
scrimmage of any kind, everybody had to run.
Yeah.
True story, right?
It's 100% true. Ask anybody that's Gaucho that played during 1998 to 2002, especially the freshman year, 1998.
Skip Schumacher.
He was at Loyola Marymount. But if I got a hit off a pitcher, that person was running for the rest of practice. True story. I was the worst player on the team.
But you got better. That was the important thing.
I did get better.
How did you take that initially?
I thought it was funny. And then, I mean, yeah, it's bittersweet. You think it's funny because, haha, I made you run, but then you go, wait, they're making fun of me because he's running because I got a hit off him.
Richard throws it away. And this is in the area he could end up at third. Charlie will easily. So Clayton Richard, who led baseball picking off 8 guys last year, was closer to picking off Fred Smith sitting in row 2.
Well, Clayton's going to be upset about this one because he did not give his best effort with this pickoff move to first base on the Subaru Supermo. Right towards, what'd you say his name was? Rick Smith?
Or
in row 2. I was paying attention to Charlie Blackmon. We know he's been dealing with some back tightness, and it looked nice running around.
See if DJ can knock him in and give the Rockies the lead. To short, Galvis comes up with it and will throw out LeMahieu. So no harm done on that errant pick by Clayton Richard. We'll go to the 4th, tied at 1. Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by Cheyenne Frontier Days. Log on to cfdrodeo.com for the full lineup. Fourth inning, John Gray and Clayton Richard, who hooked up less than a week ago in San Diego with John and winning the baseball game 5-2. As he struck out 7, didn't walk a batter in 7 shutout innings. And he starts out Jose Perella with a curveball for a strike. He's landed a couple of first pitch curveballs the last 2 innings. John has struck out 5 thus far. And the fastball's fouled back.
Last year for John Gray, second time through the lineup, hitters were hitting 340 off of him. This season, 167. I think part of that has to do with his ability to show that secondary pitch like a curveball, adding in a changeup.
It'll make his outstanding fastball that much better. And the early returns this year are good on the fastball, even with that rough outing on opening day against Arizona, Spilly. Last year, the league hit 338 against the heater. So far this year, as that just misses, the league came in hitting 174 against his fastball in 2 starts.
I think part of that is John's not throwing as many fastballs in the strike zone, middle part of the plate. He's far more on the edges.
That was a slider.
Even when you're looking at the Subaru strike zone, you can see a lot of pitches down and away off the middle part of the plate. Because it doesn't matter how fast you throw. Throw middle part, belt high, it's going to get hit.
See where he goes here. 2-2 again. Came in on him. Perella to be followed by Spangenberg and Galvis. And right back at John. Gets pretty square. He's not one of those guys that dramatically falls off the mound, and that enabled him to field the hard comebacker. 1 out. Fans, join in on the conversation tonight and every night. Send us your thoughts, your comments, photos, if you will, on Twitter or Instagram. Use the hashtag ToyotaTalk. You know, it's cool watching the brand new scoreboard that is 258% larger. Watch a replay. You're going to get one of those for your backyard, you were saying the other day?
I have one.
Oh,
My
you already
neighbors
have one.
Neighbors love it.
I'm sure they do. Normal cable bill with that, or is it because it's so large? Is it a little more expensive?
No, it's about the same. I just have it hooked up to the scoreboard.
Kind of pirated a feed.
It's the stereo system that has the neighbors upset.
They're not pleased.
Yeah.
The amps stacked up in the yard, 30 feet high. 2-1 ground ball to a retreating Valleca. He's going to need help. Gray gets there in front of the speedy Spangenberg. I just like how aggressive John has been this start and his last start. A total contrast to what we saw opening day.
It really is. I also want to see him have this aggression. The way he pitches to the Padres, I want to see him do that to the Diamondbacks. I want to see him do that to the rest of the National League West. This has been a team he's very comfortable pitching.
There's a strike on Freddie Galvis. Again, he's able to spin a breaking ball for a strike to get into the count and get ahead, most importantly. This ball's pretty well hit. Charlie on the move. Charlie's going back and can't get there. Galvis is headed toward third, and he'll have a triple. I think that ball was hit a little bit better than Charlie realized. That carried pretty well. It still would have taken an outstanding play to get there. So a 2-out triple by Galvis.
Galvis squares up this fastball. You can see Charlie's playing a little shallow for Freddie Galvis. Beats him to the spot.
First triple this year for Galvis, as you see the Subaru Supermo. Austin Hedges hit one about 10 feet to extend the inning in the second, and with 2 outs, Margot lined a soft single to right, and that produced the only run for San Diego. The Rockies' run came on a home run by Ian Desmond in the bottom of the second. So bear down here with 2 outs and get Hedges. Submission to Gray, and it's hit hard past Nolan Arenado, and Hedges on his way to second. The Padres have taken a 2-1 lead. That was an in-between hop, tough play, and it's going to go as a double.
It's a tough read for Nolan too, because the ball's hit off the end of the bat. So you're reading swing, you're thinking he's hitting it a lot harder. Basically, he hit a changeup to Nolan. Caught in between.
Rockies will walk Margot to get to Richard. Well, that has to be disappointing for John, in that one of the things that the top flight guys do, and John certainly has the ability and the makeup to be a top flight guy, and he's in the process of getting there, and it's a process, is you're able to get those big outs when there's traffic. And unfortunately tonight, both runs have come on 2-out hits down at the bottom of the order. Hedges batting in the 7th spot. Margot, who drove in the run in the second, batting in the 8th spot. And he'd come in a big slump. Whoa, this ball's hit well by Richard. This is gone. Clayton Richard just hit a 3-run home run to the second deck. His first hit of the year. A no-doubter to right, and it's 5-1 San Diego. Third career home run for Richard. And you said earlier he's a good athlete.
Oh, you saw him take a pitch earlier today where it looked like he wanted no part of John Gray. Leg kick, looking fastball, gets one up, and he doesn't miss it. Even with the high finish.
Suaje has struck out twice. And this ball's gone. He sat on a curveball, and it's now 6-1. First home run of the year for Suaje. Padres had 8 runs in their previous 5 games. They have 6 now, as they put up a 5 spot in the 4th, all with 2 outs.
Well, that's disappointing for John Gray. You get through the first 2 batters. And then 5 runs, hanging curveball on the Subaru Supermo. Suaje knew off the bat.
Now you still have to make pitches. You have a pitcher up there, Clayton Richard. Good athlete, as we discussed. And he threw him something up, belt high. And he paid for it. Chase Headley, a strikeout and a ground ball to short. Boy, the complexion of this game has changed in a hurry. Even after the double past Nolan, like a 2-1.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's not a big deal. But the 3-run home run by Richard And then Aswahe going deep, and now you're down by 5. And Richard, who has always struggled at Coors Field, has been inducing ground ball after ground ball so far tonight, other than the home run he gave up to Desmond. Valleca to Gray. Tough inning for John Gray. He gives up 5, and the Rockies trail 6-1, middle of 4th.
Chicago Cubs make their only 2018 appearance at Coors Field April 20th through the 22nd. Purchase your tickets online at Rockies.com.
So the Rockies had to start chipping away. Nolan's going to lead it off. Then Trevor Story and Ian Desmond against Clayton Richard, who all of a sudden has been staked to a 5-run advantage. He's a big reason why the 3-run home run last inning. That's right back at Richard.
We made mention Clayton Richard had 0 runs of support over the course of the season, and getting 5-6 runs tonight, self-driving in 3 of them.
The Coors Light refreshing finish. Well, Trevor Story swung the bat well in the Braves series, 4 for 12, including a couple of home runs. There's 2 teams in particular that Trevor's really gotten after in his young major league career: the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Atlanta Braves. It's called strike at the very bottom of the zone. I'll tell you a good sign for me, Spilly. Trevor, so far this year, of the balls he's put in play, 50% of them have been to center field.
Big part of the field, so important for a hitter. Allows you to stay on off speed. If you have the approach to hit the ball right back at the pitcher opposite field.
Yeah, you've described it before, and I'd never heard this until you made mention of it a year ago, that you would focus on, what was it, the right part of the rubber,
yeah,
the first base side of the rubber?
Try to keep it simple, kind of try to keep it small. I would look at just the side of the rubber. So try to keep middle part of the field. If you want to hit towards second base, you look at the right part of the rubber. If you want to pull the baseball, you look at the left.
And that is ripped to left, and it has a chance to run to the wall. It will. And Story easily into second with a 1-out double.
Nice swing by Trevor Story. I think it's so important for the Rockies to be able to punch back after a deflating top of the 4th inning with 2 outs. Supermo fastball that he's able to pull. That approach comes with looking to drive the ball middle part of the field. You trust your hands. Good looking swing by Trevor.
So here's Desmond. He went yard to right center to snap an 0 for 16 in his first at bat, and he takes ball 1.
Gets a pitch, middle portion of the plate. What I like about that swing is that it's a fastball middle, but he's taking it and shooting it opposite field with power.
Good eye, 2-0. Yeah, he did 2 things that hitting coaches always talk about. He let the ball travel, and he was able to stay behind the baseball. 3-0. I think I'm like everybody else watching on television or at the ballpark tonight. Those 5 runs came out of nowhere because John was really dominant. You know, usually, sometimes when bad stuff happens, you can see it coming. And a 4-pitch walk, which may have been somewhat by design for Richard. Sets up a force all around. And obviously, a guy, if he hits it on the ground, and Chris Iannetta will be a somewhat easy double play.
Yeah, that 5 runs came out of nowhere. Where you were in the lineup, how well John was throwing. It's not like there was any walks. That's the one aspect that I've noticed with the Rockies starters. There's been a lot of walks over the course of this young season. There was no walks there, other than an intentional to Margot.
This ball's driven to deep center field by Iannetta, way back and gone. That's a counter punch. 3-run jet, Chris Iannetta. His first in round 2 with the Colorado Rockies. And the Rock Show right back in it.
It's exactly what you want to see if you're the Colorado Rockies. If you're in that dugout, the wind got knocked out of you in the last top half inning. This is how you get it back. Quality of bat by Trevor Story. A good walk by Ian Desmond. And then a pitch missed middle part of the plate, and Clayton Richard knew it.
Cargo hits a rocket off of Richard, and out at first base is Galvis. Just happened to be in the right spot. 1-6-3 as Galvis was the only guy on the left side of the infield.
Nothing's worse as a hitter than to square up a baseball, think you have a hit, and then have it taken away from you. Freddie Galvis, great play. Nice pick by Eric Hosmer at first. 112 miles an hour off the bat. No hit.
Valleca takes a strike. And the thing for me, Spilly, and we've discussed this up here, you and I, Huey and I have discussed where the shortstop was playing, and Freddie's a great shortstop, and Andy Green loves the defensive side of things, and he's exceptionally bright. But I don't understand playing the shortstop where he did, because it's really in no man's land. It's the one time I've seen it pay off, though, right? Can't defend the bunt there.
Nope.
That ball was sharply hit by Valleca. Rockies back in it on the Iannetta 3-run homer.
6-4 after a Chris Iannetta counterpunch 3-run homer. We continue our 25-year Rockies anniversary celebration with this date in Rockies history, April 9th, 1993. A crowd of 80,227 packed into Mile High Stadium and set a major league record in the first ever Rockies game played in Denver. They went on to beat the Montreal Expos 11-4. We've talked about it a lot. 1993, you guys, I hate to admit this, but I was only a few months old. What do you guys remember about that day?
Oh, man, why would you do that?
I was 3. Spilly, what do you recall?
I was 93. I would have been 14 years old. I had a Rockies hat.
You've told me that before.
I had a Rockies hat, and I remember Eric Young hitting the homer.
Were you the only kid in Santa Barbara that had a Rockies hat?
Well, there was a great hat store called the Mad Hatter, and I had it. I had it.
Eric Hosmer at the plate. Big swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hosmer has struck out twice against John tonight. Rockies always shift with Hosmer. They did it in San Diego. And he beats the shift by hitting it sharply past Nolan Arenado. So a leadoff single for Hosmer.
Important inning for John Gray to reestablish himself. I know he has confidence against his Padres team, but he looks like he lost it a bit in the last inning.
So Taylor, since you've established that you were not very old, shall we say, when Eric Young hit that home run in '93, what was your first recollection of the Rockies?
You know, I do remember walking down Mile High Stadium. There was, you know, the ramps down the side. I remember walking down there, kind of taking a look over towards Denver, and my dad pointing out saying that's where Coors Field is going to be, and we're going to be playing there in a few years. So I don't really remember the actual baseball game, but I certainly remember being at Mile High Stadium.
I remember bits and pieces of that opening day. This goes off of Chris Iannetta, a tailing fastball. It'll be a wild pitch, and Hosmer moves up to second. I always tell this story, Spilly. I remember the All-Star game in '98 here, and that was during the Beanie Baby craze. Line to right, tough play for Cargo, and he's going to have to field it on a hop, and then he trips. Hosmer was going to score anyhow, and going to second is Perella, and the Padres get a run right back. It's 7-4. Perella with just his 3rd RBI of the season.
Padres came into this game one of the worst in baseball with runners in scoring position, and over the last 2 innings they have been able to hit with runners in scoring position. 5 hits in this game. Another ball hit down the right field line.
The slider was away. He reached for it, but it was up. And Spilly, why don't you describe it? And there's a bunt. This is going to be a tough play. That's a tremendous play by Gray to glove it and flip it to get Spangenberg. If that gets by him, obviously Spangenberg's aboard. It'll work as a sac bunt. It was a smart play by Spangenberg, and now Perella with 1 out is at 3rd, and the Rockies will have to bring the infield in. But again, because that ball was up, it's easier for a hitter to handle, isn't it?
It really is. Anything above the belt, from mid-thigh to the belt, is right in a hitter's wheelhouse. And if you're talking about a slider, and John Gray's slider about 90 to 92 miles an hour up, that's perfect hitting speed for any major league hitter.
Galvis tripled to center his last time up, and he takes ball 1. Antonio Senzatella's had to get up now. After that 3-run home run by Iannetta, naturally John's hoping to put up 3 quick outs and get the Rockies back on offense.
Well, we thought the Padres would be very aggressive against John Gray tonight. There's certain times when you're facing a guy that has your number as a group of guys that are playing a competitive sport, you say enough's enough. We're not going to let this guy have his way with us. That's what the Padres look like they've said to John Gray.
But again, it really came out of nowhere because John, having worked the first 3 innings, he had 5 strikeouts. They scratched out a run in the 2nd inning. And then with 2 outs, an opportunity to get out of it, he gives up a hit and scored a run. Then the 3-run home run to Richard. That's a strikeout of Galvis. 2 outs. The infield can drop back, and then he gave up a home run to Aswahe. Now Austin Hedges, who had the hit with 2 outs in that 5-run 4th, kind of off the end of his bat, as Spilly described accurately, a line drive that was like a changeup at Nolan. This is going to be interesting. Gray takes the flip from Valleca. Well done by Pat Valleca. Good coordination there from Gray and Valleca. Single double produce another run for the Padres. They lead 7-4. To tonight, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. 7 runs for the Padres on 10 hits, and that'll be all for John Gray. He was due to lead off here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It'll be Mike Tauchman hitting for him, and then Blackman and LeMahieu. So John Gray, whose stuff looked good early. The line not pretty though. 5 innings for John tonight. 7 runs, 10 hits. The 1 walk was intentional. He struck out 6. Tauchman looking for his first hit this year, and he's behind 0-2. Everybody on the Rockies bench is left-handed, which is not a surprise with Richard starting.
Well, I'm sure for John Gray, he's going to say he felt great. And stuff-wise, to your point, he looked great. But when you miss location up and consistently up, and I know there were some pitches that he'd probably like to have back. It's going to be one of those situations where no matter who you're facing, you miss up in the zone to any team. It's going to be damage.
Tauchman goes down swinging, and that'll bring up Blackman, who hit a fly ball to left in the 1st and walked in the 3rd. corner for a strike. The Rockies scored 19 runs at Petco in 4 games. Coming into tonight, they had scored only 6 in their first 3 home games. They have 4 obviously tonight. They're going to need to really break out the bats.
They will.
There's plenty of time left as they hit with 1 out in the 5th. One and 2. And there's a base hit behind in the count from Blackman. His first hit at home in 2018.
Take a behind-the-scene tour of Coors Field. Group and individual tickets available year-round. Call 303 Rockies.
DJ in infield hit up the third base line in the first, and a ground ball to short. It's in there for a strike. So Chris Iannetta hit a 3-run home run last inning to get the Rockies at the time within 2. Now they're down 3. It was Chris's first home run since September 25th of 2011 in a Rockies uniform. One and 2. The 2 catchers for the Rockies visiting. And this one is going to be cut off by a Suaje. He's got 1 play, does the full pirouette and gets DJ at first. 2 outs. Charlie at second for Arenado. Nolan grounded sharply into a 5-4-3 double play in the first, and then hit a comebacker in the 4th. He has great numbers historically against Richard. Came into the ball game 11 for 17 against Richard, so 11 for 19 now. Still, you do the math, well above 500.
0 for 2 tonight, but San Diego's giving the whole right side of the field open for Nolan. Nolan's been getting a lot of hits to right field this season because that's where teams have been pitching him outside.
And we've seen, especially with 2 strikes, that he'll go that way. Last year he hit .420 against lefties. Is that any good?
It's great. You can barely see Perella in right field. You can tell that's an infielder playing right field at Coors Field. We'll see if that comes back to bite him.
Richard right now pitching him like he'd prefer to deal with Story. Careful what you wish for. 3-0. And that's a walk. So now the tying run will come up in Trevor Story, who hit a sharp line drive to left that went to the wall and produced a double. Story 1 for 2 with 2 outs and 2 on here in the 5th. Mindset here against Richard. You've seen him now a couple of times today. You saw him less than a week ago in San Diego.
I think it's look up because you know he has a good sinker. Don't worry about getting beat with the fastball. You know it's 90 miles an hour.
Right at the bottom of the strike zone, well located. It's 0-1. That's a good one to let go.
And with 2 strikes, battle. But right now, you're still, Buddy Black is barking at Adrian Johnson, saying that ball's too low.
Ball and a strike on Story out of Irving, Texas. Two and one. Story, 45th player selected in 2011. Signed with the Rockies for just under $1 million. And that's fouled off 2-2.
Well, that pitch off the strike zone, it looked like Trevor was trying to cheat a little bit. When you hear broadcasters saying that players trying to cheat, it means he's looking for a fastball, and they might be quick. They might try to get the barrel out in front.
Two and two. And he strikes out Story with 2 men on. So we'll go to the 6th inning. Padres 7, Rockies 4. West Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. So in the 6th inning, the Rockies will turn now to Antonio Senzatella. He'll have Margot, Richard, and then Asuaje, 8, 9, and 1 in San Diego's lineup. The Padres up 7-4. They scored the first run in the 2nd. The Rockies tied him in the bottom of the 2nd on a home run to right center by Ian Desmond. But then a 5-run 4th inning with 2 outs for the Padres really did in John Gray. And in the 5th inning, they got another run off of Big John. He was pinch hit for last inning, and now it'll be up to Senzatella to keep San Diego right at 7 and give the Rockies offense some more chances.
The numbers for Senzatella, high ERA, but he also hasn't thrown much. 3 2/3 on this short season so far.
And that's not a lot for a guy who is your quote-unquote long man.
That's right. 10 wins with the Rockies last year.
I know what Buddy's going to say after this game, win or lose. He's going to talk about starting pitching. Got to give you a chance. And I think John Gray after the game is also going to talk about, as you alluded to, that he felt great, that his stuff was really good.
He was really hurt tonight by poor location. And maybe a letdown to Clayton Richard. That one fastball belt high to a pitcher that you didn't think was going to hit off you.
Two and two on Margot. He had the base hit in the second with 2 outs. Snap a long slump and drive in a run. Then Gray, wisely at the time. This is fouled right around the Rockies dugout into the first row. They walk Margot to get to Richard with 2 outs in the fourth. That's when Richard hit one in the second deck, 418 feet.
And I really do think if there was any sort of letdown for John Gray, it was that one pitch. You see a pitcher, he's done a trophy take earlier in the game with 2 strikes. He probably just had a mental letdown. You're thinking he's not going to swing right here.
The play by Sensatella on the comebacker. 1 out, and that will bring up Richard. Hit the ball hard twice. The home run, obviously, but his first time up, he lined the ball to left to Ian Desmond.
Well, here's that pitch in the 4th inning. Fastball, center cut.
And this ball's hit sharply, but right at DJ. 2 outs. Swahe, after the home run by Richard, he went deep on a curveball after striking out his first 2 at-bats on fastballs against John Gray.
Well, we know how much you've already mentioned how much Manny Margot has been struggling. Manny Margot, before the season started, they were expecting to be their leadoff hitter. The Padres leadoff hitter on the season, 105 batting average.
And this should be an easy play for Charlie. Comes under control. 1-2-3 for Sensatella in the 6th inning. 3-run ball game as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Desmond will be first up. Padres leading 7-4. Clayton Richard, just 76 pitches in, is no longer in the ball game. The Padres have made a pitching change, and Jordan Lyles, the former Rocky, is now on the bump. He'll face Desmond and Cargo. And Jordan Lyles, who struggled at times in a Colorado uniform, particularly here at Coors Field, Jordan has been arguably their best pitcher out of the pen so far. So he gets called upon here in a 3-run ball game at the bottom of the 6th.
Tell you one thing, Jordan's their hardest thrower coming out of the Padres bullpen.
Strike one on Desmond, a home run and a walk tonight for Desmond. He has scored 2 of the Rockies' 4 runs. Yeah, he averages just under 95 miles an hour with his fastball, and you're right. In a light throwing pen, he's the hardest thrower. Usually in today's bullpens 3 or 4 guys that throw at 95 plus. Lyles' career ERA at Coors Field in 57 games, 5.74. Opposition's hit 300 against him. 1-2. So far in 6 1/3 this year, no runs on just 3 hits. And good command, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. Headley on the move.
The 4th inning, Chris Iannetta, 3-run home run. Let's take a look at some of the StatCast numbers. 107 miles an hour off the bat, 426 feet. Whenever you hear us talking about the lower half, you could see how loaded up Chris got. High leg kick, got the weight back.
Chris hit in the same group this afternoon as Charlie Blackmon, and Charlie had just finished a round. He came around the corner of the batting cage, and we were chatting, and Chris hit 2 balls in 3 swings up on the concourse, not in left field, but more left center field. I mean, they had to be 475 feet. And I said, he has as much raw power as anybody. And for those that got to the ballpark early, back when Chris was with the Rockies earlier in his career, you may recall that. I mean, he is really, really strong. And Charlie, seconded. He said he is country strong, man. He hit the ball a long, long way.
Then you can take a swing like that where the ball goes 4 feet.
That leg lift, and you were describing when he gets on the backside, it's a lot of mass coming through the zone.
There's not a better way to hit if you can get the timing down. Get everything through your barrel. I mean, you have to think about hitting and pitching the same way. It starts with your feet. It starts from the ground up. If you can get the transfer of energy to go through your arm or through your bat, the best way to do that is with a leg kick.
3-2. Cargo behind Iannetta. And a walk. So with 1 out, Iannetta to first, and Gonzalez coming up.
It's the bats like that that really make you appreciate a guy like Chris Iannetta. Chris Iannetta does not expand the zone. I think throughout this short season so far with Chris Iannetta, we've seen him. He's been very patient. He's taking his walks.
Cargo to rocket off of Richard, literally off of Richard his last time up, and it went right to Freddie Galvis, who threw him out. Came off the bat at 112 miles an You got nothing to show for it.
And I want to say the numbers play out. If you hit a ball over 110 miles an hour, the average batting average is over 700.
One and one. Rockies so far on offense, they have not hit their stride. They will. Middle of the pack in many numbers. 18th in on-base percentage, 16th in OPS in baseball. High fly ball, deep left field. Did he get enough of it? Near the wall, leaping, gone, home run. Spangenberg thought he caught it.
Where'd it go?
I don't know, but it's on the right side of the fence. Rockies within a run. Second home run for Cargo.
Where did that ball go?
It's a magic trick. Spangenberg still can't believe he didn't catch it.
Escape artist. Harry Houdini of baseballs. For Cargo, already a hit off of a pitcher that he doesn't get a hit. Let's take a look. It's in the guy's glove.
He has it.
And then he gave it away.
Dumped it over the wall.
Wow.
He didn't secure it long enough. They're going to go look at this. Watch this. See if there's fan interference. That's going to be the key. Wow. The whole key is if his hand touched that glove.
Subaru Supermo, Spangenberg getting up above the yellow line. The yellow line doesn't mean anything.
No, it's all of that right hand. I don't think the left hand touched the glove. Does the right hand touch the glove?
I don't think so.
And then is it in the field of play? He's allowed. He can't reach over the fence. That guy's just.
Oh man.
Now. His hands are resting on the top of the fence. It's not over.
It's not Jeffrey Mayer reaching over and grabbing a home run.
That is an interesting one.
I've never seen this one before.
I don't think I have either. You know, he's not reaching into the field of play. I don't think they can take that back, even if they determine that his right hand touched the glove, because his hands are not in the field of play. They're not over the fence.
Well, and then if they say it's interference, what's the call? It's fan interference and it's an out?
It would be an out.
Oh man, what a change of fortune for Carlos Gonzalez if that's the case.
Talk about big. We're talking about making this a one-run game in the sixth. Home run. Here comes Andy Green.
Of course.
He wants an explanation. You're not supposed to be able to do this. We'll get an email here shortly, but I guarantee it. And Andy Green gets thrown out, and that's by rule. He's arguing that Brian Gorman is the crew chief. You can't argue after a review, and Brian let him come out.
He read Andy Green's lips right there. He said he touched his glove.
But again, I think they're going to rule that his hands weren't in the field of play. So the Rockies are within a run. Cargo with a two-run homer. One out in the sixth inning. Pat Valleca coming up. This is when it became official a moment ago. That's Cargo's reaction. Here's our fan in left field. I love it. Going wipe of the brow.
Yeah. He's telling his friends, I almost messed up Carlos Gonzalez's day. Well, I don't think he's a poor fan now. He's got an important home run ball.
Oleka swings and misses. It's career home run number 217 for Cargo.
And again, that's so important why those at-bats from a guy like Chris Iannetta, getting that walk. Walks in Coors Field come back to bite you, especially to relief pitchers.
High pop-up, shallow center. Margot makes the catch, 2 outs. And Ryan McMahon will pinch hit. Sixth career ejection for Andy Green. There's a strike on McMahon. Different role for Ryan. Been a starter his whole, obviously, amateur career, his whole professional career. Now coming off the bench, trying to get a rhythm. I saw him in the cage after a ball game a couple of days ago, late at night, working on taking swings off the tee. 1-2 on McMahon. And this is going to be grabbed by Lyles. He runs to the bag. That'll end the inning, but the Rockies are within a run on the opposite field. 2-run home run by Cargo. In and out of the glove and over the fence as Corey Spangenberg thought he had it. Pitching performance of the night, and the 2 starters are both out of there. Richard went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs on 5 hits. John Gray was cruising, and then he gave up 5 runs, including a 3-run home run to Clayton Richard in the 4th inning. So it turns into a rough night for John Gray. 7 runs in 5 innings. But the Rockies are within a run after the Cargo 2-run home run. And it'll be Chase Headley in the 7th, Eric Hosmer and Jose Perella. And the Rockies will turn to Mike Dunn here. Senzatella worked a clean inning in the 6th.
Just like Antonio Senzatella, not a lot of innings pitched yet for Mike Dunn.
And Headley hits it in the air to left center field, fairly deep. Charlie's out there, and he makes the catch.
Kids big and small, be sure to visit the Aero Arcade presented by Aero Electronics, located in the interactive area on the main concourse in center field.
And we still haven't. We'll get an email here in the.
I know, I'm waiting for it.
The next few minutes, you assume it,
Refresh,
from New York
refresh.
as to exactly what their ruling was, and it's why I believe that in certain situations the crew chief should have a microphone on. Hosmer with the base hit. So he's aboard with one out, and can explain to not only the audience here at Coors Field, but everybody at home exactly what they ruled in New York. And now we're kind of in the waiting game. And the reason that they haven't gone to that, even though you have it in the NFL, from what I understand, the umpires union is reluctant to do that. But I would have loved to have heard, I think all of you would agree, from Brian Gorman saying here's exactly why they ruled 2-run home run. Good for the Rockies.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to, you don't have to give us a full explanation. There was no fan interference on the play. It's rolled a home run. That's it.
And back-to-back hits as Perella singles. The Padres were an anemic offensive team down in Houston and not really terrific against the Rockies, but they have thrown out a dozen hits in this game, and now they have Corey Spangenberg up with 2 on and 1 out. Mark McGuire is the acting manager now for the Padres, the bench coach. Mark was featured in a piece in The Athletic that came out today saying he regrets using performance-enhancing drugs. He regrets it deeply. But he also said in the piece that he said, I was always a home run hitter. He said, and I got better throughout my career. And I really felt like 98, the year he hit 70, said I would have been able to do it regardless of whether or not I had used performance-enhancing drugs. I hit well over 500 home runs in his career. Remember his rookie year when he was, you know, a lean young man out of Southern Cal, he hit 49.
Spent an offseason hitting with Mark McGuire, and he knows hitting. He flat out knows hitting.
He knew how to leverage the baseball before people talked about launch angle. He understood launch angle.
I'll never forget a hitting session that Matt Holliday had with Mark McGuire.
0-2 in the air to left. And Desmond makes the catch, 2 outs.
Mark McGuire was in Anaheim because of his relationship with Mike Gallegos. So McGuire shows up playing the Angels. It's 2006. He goes and has a little hitting session with Matt Holliday, and he shows him how to get his right hand through the baseball. And if you look at the numbers from the second half of 2006 for Matt Holliday, the power numbers went through the roof. And then the year next, Matt Holliday's a runner-up MVP.
Mike Dunn will walk off. Brian Shaw is going to come on to face Freddie Galvis when we come back. Rockies down a run in the 7th. were up 6-1 at one point. They're 2 outs and 2 on for San Diego in the top of the 7th. Freddie Galvis, a switch hitter, will hit from the left side against Brian Shaw, who limited lefties to a .234 average in his final season with Cleveland. Unscored upon so far in 5 appearances in purple.
Shaw basically features 2 pitches. It's a cutter and a slider. Working with the cutter almost 90% of the time.
Galvis tripled in the 4th. He's reached in all 11 games played by the Padres this year. Padres came into tonight 2-8. Rockies at 500, 5-5. Way inside on the cutter. 1-0.
Shaw's the only pitcher in Major League Baseball the last 5 seasons with 70 or more appearances out of the bullpen.
Ground ball, middle of the diamond, tough hop, good play by Trevor Story. And Shaw gets Galvis to end the mild threat. Stretch time at Coors Field. Rockies trying to come all the way back.
Down by just 1 run, 7-6 in the bottom of the 7th. Now you guys are going to want to join us tomorrow. The AT&T Sportsnet crew all season long will be celebrating the Rockies' 25th anniversary by counting down the all-time top 25 players. And tomorrow we begin our celebration with the number 25 player on the list, Yorvi Torrealba. Join in on the conversation by sending in your favorite Torrealba memories, photos, and questions using the hashtag ToyotaTalk25. Now, I gotta say mine was after the Rockies had just won the National League pennant. We were down on the field with my family, and Torrealba, I had never talked to him in my life, and he just comes and gives me the biggest hug ever. And I think that perfectly describes him. People will just say energy, 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 and friendly as well. It's a good memory for me, and I think just indicative of the kind of human being Torrealba is.
A1 person, you're absolutely right. Charlie fouls this ball off. Taylor, and I know you remember this. We were kidding you earlier because when the Rockies got going, you were an infant, but I know you remember '07 exceptionally well. And Torrealba was the catalyst. He was the life of that clubhouse, and it was a great clubhouse, Billy. You were in the middle of it.
Well, Torrealba, just such a great leader, so important. We always talk about the catcher being the bridge between the position players and the pitching staff, and Torrealba was one of the best I've ever been around.
3-1 and a leadoff walk. So Blackman, the tying run at first to begin the 7th. ball still out there. Second walk he's issued. This is his second inning of work. And LeMahieu, who's 1 for 3 coming up. First time the Rockies this evening have had the leadoff man aboard. Craig Stammen. DJ taking the whole way. 0-1. Up the middle, base hit. Charlie will stop at second. He had to read that alignment. Margot fielded the baseball. Of course, where he was coming from, he had momentum going toward third base. So a good decision by Blackman not to try to go first to third here.
It's an interesting angle for Manny Margot because he's so much in right center field. Just like the Padres typically play DJ, and that's an easier angle for an outfielder, especially making the throw to third base.
Going to get a double switch here. Rockies have Nolan coming up, followed by Story and Desmond. So Craig Stammen, one of the setup men for the Padres, will come in. Hunter Renfroe is going to go into right field. Rockies with 2 aboard, nobody out when we return. Padres leading right now 7-6. The Rockies trying to flip the tables on them. They had a 6-1 lead earlier. Double switch. Perella goes from right to left. Renfroe comes in. Spangenberg leaves the game. So Renfroe will hit third next inning. Stammen goes into the 5 spot if you keep the book at home. Stammen has pitched well so far this year. Guy who typically gets a lot of ground balls in his career, better than 50% of the time, and so far this year almost 80% of the time.
I think
Nolan Arenado, 460 RBIs the last 4 years. Actually last 3 years plus.
I think a lot of Rockies fans will remember Matt Belisle and Stammen, almost identical. Heavy sinker, a bit of a cut fastball for Stammen that he could throw. I feel like Craig Stammen looks more like Matt Belisle than Matt Belisle does.
It's hard to do that too.
They wear the same number.
1 strike on Nolan. 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Blackman at second, LeMahieu at first. Good pitch to hit.
Stamon's only given up 1 hit this season, 1 for 20 against him.
You see the active leaders with runners in scoring position, and last year Nolan hit above 380. Some pretty good names on that list, huh?
He's hitting 571 with runners in scoring position this season.
Nolan has driven in 6. The club leaders Desmond, he's driven in 8. Oh-2.
This is what I love about Nolan this season, is that he's not afraid to hit the ball opposite field. He understands how the league's trying to make adjustments. They think they can try to get him away. And Nolan has proven he's shortened up the swing. How many times have we seen him this season take that half swing, drive the ball opposite field, and get a hit?
A lot.
A lot.
Not this time. Stammen gets him to chase. 1 out, and that'll bring up Story.
Stammen does a great job with deception. He hides behind his mechanics. Gets Nolan to chase because of the short arm swing of Stammen.
Story tonight, a double back in the 4th, 1 for 3. Hook to third. Story with the great speed prevents the double play. And that will save an AB for Ian Desmond.
Padres trying to turn 2, but because Story was out in front, because he runs so well, just barely beats it out at first base. Like to take full advantage of this if you're the Rockies. Picture this as an extra out.
Ball 1 on Desmond. Home run to right center in the 2nd. He walked and scored in the 4th, grounded to 3rd in the 6th inning. 3 home runs this year for Desmond. That's a good eye.
2017, Ian Desmond with 2 outs and runners in scoring position hit .405. That was 2nd in Major League Baseball, trailing only Corey Seager.
Time called by Desmond. An internal clock clicking away.
Sure.
Here's the 2-0. And it's 3-0.
Good at bats from Ian Desmond tonight. The home run, the walk. can see a physical difference if you're watching from home. Notice on Ian's backside, you can see his back leg, how he's sitting in it far more today than he has in the last couple days.
Called strike. 3-1.
For Ian, by sitting in that crouch, it allows your legs to get the barrel through the zone. It also flattens out the barrel so you're not constantly hitting the top of the ball.
Charlie at third, the tying run. Story at first. 3-1.
Tell you what, watching Stamen throw, you can see he is deceptive. A little bit of a crossfire. Does not show the baseball to the hitter.
Three and two. Story, who could fly, will be off with the pitch. It's pretty much automatic. We're going to get a check to the runner in that situation. In this case, no throw, but just stepping off the bat. Just want to make sure he doesn't leave early if you're Stammen. Slowly hit to short. Galvis makes the play. That was not easy. The Rockies threaten, they do not score. We move to the 8th inning. 7-6 San Diego. Well, this was tough to watch. Clayton Richard hits a 3-run home run off John Gray in the fourth, part of a 5-run fourth inning for San Diego. That made it 6-1, but back come the Rockies. 3-run home run of their own. Chris Ionetta's first in his return to the Rockies. 6-4 at that point. 7-4 when Cargo went Oppo Taco. And look at this play. Spangenberg thinks he has it. He did. And then it went over the fence. He lost it. And they reviewed it for fan interference, and we finally just got word from New York, and according to the review, the supervisor explanation, when they looked at all relevant angles, they could not determine that there was spectator interference, so the call stood. Brian Gorman, who's the crew chief, then had to deal naturally with an irate Andy Green, and Andy was tossed. So Mark McGuire's running the Padres. 2-0 right now on Austin Hedges. Brian Shaw got the final out of the 7th inning. Hedges, Margot, and Renfroe here at the top of the 8th for the Padres. This is one you just got to find a way to get over the hump.
There's been opportunities for the Rockies.
3-1.
You get first and second, nobody out. The heart of the lineup coming in, and Craig Stamen just did such a great job. Strikeout of Nolan nearly induces double play, and Trevor.
It's out of play, 3-2.
Stamen gets Ian Desmond to ground out to end the inning.
Shallow center, DJ going out, Charlie coming in, and it drops in the Bermuda Triangle. So Hedges reaches.
Happy hitting if you're Austin Hedges. Shaw gets a fastball right under his hands, and it just lands in the spot. This is where Coors Field and the large outfield come into play. It's not the balls hit over the outfielders' heads. It's the one that falls in front of them.
Here's Margot. Did not square around. He's going to study Glenn Hoffman again. Going to get a feel for Mark McGuire as a manager, something he wants to do down the road. Do you play for that extra run here in the 8th, even though you're at Coors Field? Doesn't look like he wants to sacrifice. Signs relayed to Glenn Hoffman, and then the veteran third base coach on to the two guys involved. Hedges at first, Margot at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the cutter's outside.
Well, let's see if Mark's willing to get some runners moving. Maybe a hit and run at some point. We have a hitter's count, 3-1. Brian Shaw features 1 pitch. It's a cutter.
He's got to come in there now. That's a strike. 3-2. Margot seeing if they're going to put the runner in motion. You doubt that they do it with Hedges. He's not going, and this is towards short. There's one on the first, not going to be able to turn it. Good pick by Valleca. Margot runs well, and it was not, again, hit very hard. So he trades places with Hedges, and that'll bring up Hunter Renfroe for his first AB of the game. Came in last inning in a double switch.
Brian Shaw is able to get back in the count, induce that ground ball, just not hit hard enough for Trevor and DJ to turn it. Good feed. DJ coming through the bag, having to throw off his opposite foot. The Supermo Margot beat it by at least 2 steps.
Renfroe against Brian Shaw with 1 out, top of 8. And again, it's 7-6 San Diego. And a big swing and a miss. Renfroe, like a lot of power hitters, has a pretty long swing. Is that what you saw?
It's a long swing. He can shorten it up if his timing's down.
1-1. Obviously, Margot getting a lot more attention than Hedges. He takes off, and Ionetta's throw, not going to get him. Knocked down nicely by DJ. He literally just dove at that baseball, trying to do exactly what he did, prevent it from going into center field.
I don't think DJ touched it. I think Manny Margot prevented it from going into the outfield. Shaw, high leg kick. Doesn't really give Ionetta much of a shot to throw out Margot, but it's Margot's left ankle that stops the baseball.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It hit the dirt and then his leg. That's a break. Not a literal one, a figurative one.
Yeah, figured.
Yeah. Two and two on Renfro. Renfro out of Mississippi State. Three and two. Renfro, like a lot of kids in that part of the country, grew up a huge Chipper Jones and Atlanta Braves fan. Tradition-rich program in Mississippi State. So great for many years under Ron Polk. 3-2. It's going to reach the seats on the right side.
The leg kick like Renfro has, you have to make sure to vary your times if you're Brian Shaw. Big leg kick. He's trying to get his timing. If he gets his timing down, he can do some damage.
Shaw wins the battle. 2 outs.
Brian Shaw just challenges Renfro. He's that cutter. Late movement on the Subaru Supermo. This pitch is right past Renfro.
400th career strikeout for Brian Shaw. Nice little milestone. And now with 2 outs, a tough out, and Carlos Asuaje hit a home run in the 4th, 1 for 4. Softly hit, and the catch is made by Trevor Story to put down the threat. So the Rockies remain within run as they come up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Chris Ionetta, Carlos Gonzalez, Pat Valaika. Ionetta, 3-run home run in the 4th. He walked and scored in the 6th. Craig Stammen's still out there. He worked multiple innings in the Rockies series against the Padres at Petco. Christopher Dom Ionetta. Here's the 1-0. We get to the pitcher's spot here in the 8th. It's the 4th spot due up. You'll see Gerardo Parra. Brad Hand is up in the Padres pen, and the slider's in there for a strike. 2-2. It's not been a great start for the All-Star from 2017, Brad Hand, here in 2018. Two and two to Ionetta. 1 out, and that'll bring up Cargo.
Let's take a look at Cargo's home run in the 6th inning opposite field. Here are the numbers on StatCast. Exit velocity about 97 miles an hour. Traveled 368 feet off the yellow line. And the green toss in his hat. Our fan wiping the brow of his hat. Super happy Cargo.
Well, I can tell you this much. Cargo is due against Craig Stammen. Well, maybe next time. He's now 0 for 13 lifetime against Stammen. 2 outs. Two outs, and Pat Valleca coming up.
Get on-demand access to the rooftop with the Rooftop Ballpark Pass. $96 for 8 games and includes concession credit. Choose the days and redeem your pass from your phone. Go to Rockies.com/pass for more information.
Valleca tonight, 2 ground outs to the left side and a fly ball to center. And he takes a first pitch strike.
Just cannot pick up the baseball. He hides it so well. There's a little pause. It's a short arm. He's got a great slider.
Freddie Galvis. And a 1-2-3 8th inning. We'll go to the 9th. It remains 7-6 in favor of San Diego. Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. We're in the 9th inning. The Rockies trying to come all the way back. They're down 7-6. They had a 5-run deficit at one point as we go to center field. Check in with Jenny and Huey.
All right, Drew, thanks so much. Yeah, the numbers did lie in this case, because today coming in, they favored John Gray so well. It looked like he was going to start out with one of those dominant games, and things just kind of raveled apart.
He was dominant the first inning. I mean, that was an electric first inning, and then after that, it just kind of went downhill on him. I didn't see this one coming after what he did in San Diego last week.
Yeah, well, you know what else you didn't see coming?
What's that?
That 9th inning rally.
Second one on this homestand.
All right, guys, we'll send it back to you, and we'll see you right after for the Toyota Post Game
You guys
Show.
are funny. Huey, why doesn't Jenny have gloves and just you?
Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out.
I asked her if she wanted an extra pair of gloves.
Jenny,
We're in the Rockies.
That's right. We're in the Rockies.
I have the heater on.
Okay.
Can't lie.
All right.
Adam Ottavino's aboard the top of the 9th. The switch hitter Chase Headley's 0 for 4. And Chase gets a slider on the back door. Strike one.
You gotta love where Adam Ottavino is right now. He's been using his slider so effectively. He's able to throw it for a first pitch strike, which last year was so difficult for him.
Fastball zips just inside, 1-1. And you can't be in a better place than Adam's been through 5 games. Look at that, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, almost 2 an inning. Got a flinch, but no swing. 2-1. Headley, Hosmer, Perella. For the Padres, they've out-hit the Rockies 13-7. And the slider is in there again. 2-2. Chase a strikeout, 2 ground outs, and a pop fly to center. Stammen forced to go 2 innings, and he was very effective because Kirby Yates, another one of their setup guys, had to leave a ball game in Houston with right ankle tendonitis and was placed on the 10-day disabled list. 3-2.
So for a hitter, if you're Chase Headley and you're paying attention to Adam Ottavino, you know his best pitch is a slider. He's not been able to throw a fastball for a strike, so you're trying to eliminate that pitch, but in the back of your mind, it's still 95 miles an hour, and you have to respect it.
And he's gone on a vicious slider. So Ottavino getting righties and lefties so far in 2018. Headley's now 0 for 11 against Colorado pitching this year. That's a dirty pitch right there.
So beautiful. He threw a first pitch slider for a strike. He was able to throw a slower slider in a 2-1 count to get him back into it, and then a wipeout one with a 3-2 count.
Hosmer's thrown out a couple singles and 4 ABs. Jenny and Huey were talking about how dominant it looked like John Gray was early in the game. As evidence, the first 2 at bats for Hosmer against Gray, he struck out.
Hosmer sitting on that slider. You can tell by the swing. Middle part of the plate.
Hosmer is one of those guys that I don't think TV does justice as to how big he is.
He's a big man.
6'4", about 230. 2-1. Villanueva is going to hit if one of the next 2 guys reaches. That's a strike. Out on the inside corner on the Subaru strike zone.
Huge pitch for Adam Ottavino in this at bat, just because Hosmer knows he hadn't seen a strike thrown from a fastball. Now he's seen it. Now you're in between. You don't know if you're going to see another fastball or if it's going to come down to the nasty slider. Chris doesn't even know what to call.
Yeah, he went slider, fastball in, fastball away, and then more of the slower slider, if you will. And now it's 3-2 on Hosmer. When you talk about the mind games, and Hosmer just witnessed another left-handed bat get a 3-2 slider.
This is what goes through a hitter's mind every single at bat. Getting to the late part of the game and you're facing a tough reliever as in Adam Ottavino, and you know it's basically 2 pitches.
Shook to the slider. And he got him. He has now struck out 13 of the 21 hitters he's faced in 2018.
And it comes back to that 2-1 fastball that Otto showed he could throw for a strike inside. So you have Hosmer looking maybe to cheat on a fastball.
Jose Pirela has had a big night, 3 hits and 4 at bats, including a run scoring double in the 5th. That was a big run because John had the rough inning in the 4th, the 3-run home run to Clayton Richard, and then Carlos Asuaje right behind him hits the home run. Rockies, if you remember, countered with the home run by Chris Iannetta to get within 2. And then Gray gave up a leadoff single to Hosmer and then the double to Pirela, and that made it 7-4. That right now is the difference in this game. That 7th run.
When you got to remember, Hosmer advances second on a wild pitch.
Two and 1. The Rockies in the bottom of the 9th will have Parra to pinch hit, and then Blackman, LeMahieu after that, Nolan. Wow, that was the slower slider. You want to call it a curveball. The reason we don't is Adam doesn't call. He has 3 different sliders. That's the one with a little more depth on it.
These are major league hitters at the mercy of Adam Ottavino's slider.
And you know what? Pirela knows he's getting another one. Nope, he got the fastball and it just missed. Jose, I'm with you. I was thinking slider.
You would have just been standing there with your
just
bat.
left your bat.
That's great.
Somebody will bring you your glove. You go play defense.
Cool.
Another 3-2 count. He struck out the side, this time on a slider out of the zone. So the Rockies down a run when we come back in the bottom of the 9th. Trying for a little Lodo magic here in April. especially when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. They'd like to score 8 and have a little celebration on the field here. Bottom of the 9th inning with Ryan Smilborgs. I'm Drew Goodman, Taylor McGregor, field level. Brad Hand, the closer for the Padres, their lone all-star last year. He's off to kind of a rough start. In 5 appearances, he's given up runs in 2 games, 5 in 1, though 3 were unearned. He also gave up 3 unearned runs in a game against the Rockies on April 5th and suffered the loss. He'll face Gerardo Parra, the pinch hitter here, and then Blackmon and LeMahieu initially. That's a strike. Time to break the ice. The Rockies in the pinch so far this year are 0 for 18. It's hard to believe.
Trust your gut, pick the right player, and get one step closer to winning $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today.
Left on left, certainly a slider count, 2 strikes. Big gap in right center field. Didn't bite. 1 and 2. See Margot swung over toward left center field. Two and 2. So often it used to be late in games, your corner infielders hug the line, playing no doubles. There are a new wave of managers that have disdain for that. Andy Green is one of them, and you'll see Hosmer. He's well off the line at first base, and on the third base side, Headley is well off the line. And the outfield's not exceptionally deep. 2-2. Parra.
Good takes.
With 3 outstanding takes.
Look, I'm a fan of not having corner infielders hugging the line. I've always thought that was crazy. Majority of hits go through the 5-hole, 5.5 hole, through the 4-hole.
I'm with you. Play the percentages. 3 and 2. Parra trying to reach. And on the swing, according to the home plate umpire, Adrian Johnson. Not that it would matter, but Parra didn't argue. 1 out. But he's looking for a replay.
Yeah, we'll take a look. It looks like he did go. Subaru Supermo.
Charlie's been on 3 times tonight in his return to the lineup. 2 walks and a base hit. Now Margot plays on the pull side for Blackmon. 2-0.
Last week when we saw Brad Hand blow the save and the Rockies get the win, we saw him miss consistently glove side. Tonight he's been glove side as well. And for Charlie can poke it down the left field line.
2-1. What got Hand in trouble on April 5th when the Rockies won 3-1 was he walked 3 in 2/3 of an inning. He gave up 1 hit. Two and 2. Rockies down to their final out. LeMahieu's 2 for 4. Trying to save an AB for Nolan Arenado. Oh, 1.
This is the most dramatic shift that the Padres have had tonight for DJ LeMahieu. Perella all the way in the left center corner. I have to circle him over here.
Rockies held the 6 hits yesterday. They came into the ball game with just 1 home run in their previous 6 games. They have only 7 hits tonight, but they've hit a couple of home runs. Desmond a solo shot, Cargo a 2-run homer. And this is popped up. It'll get out of play. The Rockies, as they started last year in April at home, haven't thrown out any of those 14, 15 hit games where they have base runners galore. It's coming. Trying to figure out a way tonight with 2 outs and nobody on in the 9th. Trailing by a run. 1 and 2 on LeMahieu. And he went, and that's the ball game. Brad Hand strikes out the side, and unfortunately an uneventful 9th inning for the Rockies, and they fall short in their comeback. They lose 7-6 to fall under 500 at 5-6 for the Padres, just their 3rd win this year. Again, the final score: San Diego wins it tonight 7-6. Richard the win, Gray takes the loss. Hand his 3rd save on the season. We go to Jenny Kavnar and Jeff Houston in center field. Jenny.
All right, Drew, thanks so much. Those bats just couldn't get going tonight. They tried to make that little comeback, but didn't get that timely hit.
Yeah, the hill was too big to overcome after the early deficit, giving up 7 runs to the Padres. There were some good highlights in this, though. The Rockies finally got a couple home runs. I'll tell you more about it on the Toyota postgame show.